Let the word of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. So coming up this Thursday is Thanksgiving. And it's one of the bigger holidays that we celebrate every year. And it's one that I love. I always look forward to it. I love spending time with family, eating a big meal. But it's interesting because Thanksgiving, for being such a big holiday, I don't think that we tend to put as much time into preparing for it as we might for some other holidays. We have to plan logistics for it. We have to prepare our menu for the meal we're going to eat and shop for the things we need for that and everything, or make travel arrangements if we're going to go and see family. But as far as what the holiday is really all about, as far as us expressing our gratitude and our thanks for all the things that we have in our lives, I don't think we as a culture do too much to really prepare that. Sometimes you see people doing that on like Facebook, where they'll take the month of November and they'll post something they're grateful for every day. And that's a great way to get us in the zone here. But this morning I want to focus on what we can do to really make sure that our mindset is in the right place, so that we can really adequately prepare ourselves for Thanksgiving, to make sure that we are experiencing and expressing our gratitude in the greatest way possible. And so to begin with this, I'd like to share with you all something from the Teach for the New Church. This is a passage from the Arcana Celestia, and it really talks about sort of two different mindsets that we can have when we look at other people. And the way it's presented in this passage sounds like it's talking about two different kinds of people. It says there's these people who treat people like this and these people who treat them like that. But the reality is that we have both of these things inside of us all the time. So this is from Arcana Celestia, number 1079. Anywhere that charity does not exist, self-love is present, which leads to hatred of everyone who does not cater to oneself. As a result, when people like this look to their neighbor, they see nothing except their evil. If they do see anything good, they either dismiss it as nothing or they place a bad interpretation in it. But it is totally different when charity is present with someone, and the presence or absence of charity separates these two types of people from each other. Especially when they enter the next life, people who have no charity feel hatred in every single thing. They wish to put everyone on trial and pass judgment on them. Their greatest desire is to discover what is evil in others, all the time having it in mind to condemn, punish, and torment them. But people who have charity hardly notice the evil in another person, but instead notice all the goods and truths that are in them. And if notice any evils or falsities, they place a good interpretation on them. This is what angels are like, and they receive this from the Lord, who bends everything evil into good. So again, this passage sounds like it's talking about two different kinds of people. It's saying there's people who don't have charity, and they look at people this way, and there's people who have charity, and they look at people this way. But the reality is that we all have people in our lives who we look at with charity. There's people who we love, and we see all of the good things about them, and we have a relationship with them, and we feel good about them. And even if they do anything wrong, or they make a mistake, or they stumble at some time, we can sort of overlook that because we love them, and we see all of the good that's in them. And I think on Thanksgiving, those are oftentimes the people who our mind gravitates towards when we think about who we are grateful for. We think about these people in our lives who we see all of the good in and all of the positive sides of them, and we can give thanks for them, and that's great. But we also have people in our lives who we look at without charity. I'm sure if we all thought about it, we could all think of people who, for whatever reason, when we think of them, we see all of the negative sides of them. We see all of their problems. We see all of the negative things they've done in the past. And when they do something wrong, we see them and we're like, oh, there it is again. That for whatever reason, we have this negative view of these people. And I bet that those are probably not the kind of people who we often think about when Thanksgiving rolls around. Those people who we have negative views of, we don't spend a lot of time offering our gratitude for. That's what I want us to think about today, is how can we expand ourselves out a little bit to show gratitude not just for people for whom it's easy to be grateful for, but also to go and see how can we be grateful for all of the people that have in our lives, even the people who we might have more of a strained relationship with. And so this brings us to our story from this morning. And you think about Joseph and his brothers and the horrible things that they had done to Joseph. And he was someone who is a textbook example of someone who would probably say has no need to love his brothers. After everything they had done to him, that man owes them nothing, in most of our minds probably. But when they come to him, they need help. That's not what he does. He doesn't say, no, I'm going to help you. But if the story went a different way, if instead of him helping them, he refused them and he turned them away, if instead he stood higher than them and said, look who's in the position of power now, and he used his authority to say, I'm going to help all of these other people, but because of these horrible things you guys did to me, I'm going to let you guys starve. I bet as a part of each and every one of us would read that and think, good for you, Joseph. Give the brothers a taste of their own medicine. Give them what they deserve. Let them have what's coming to them. But that's not what Joseph does. Joseph is willing to help his brothers. But why is he willing to help them? What is it about them that makes it so he's willing to overlook all of these things? And for that, I want to go back and read again what it is Joseph says to them. Because Joseph's words here, I think, are an incredibly powerful message about how we can shift our mindset to see things in a different light when it comes to some of these people who have done things that are wrong. And Joseph said to his brothers, please come near to me. So they came near. Then he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. But now do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years the famine has been in the land, and there are still 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. And God sent me before you to preserve posterity for you in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you who sent me here, but God. What Joseph is demonstrating here is one of the most difficult things that we have to do in our lives. And that is that he looked at some of the most difficult experiences he had, being sold away by his own brothers into a foreign land and having to grow up away from his family. And rather than looking at that as an excuse to hate his brothers, to be spiteful and to be bitter, he took a higher perspective and saw that the Lord was able to use that horrible experience to bring about incredible amounts of goodness. You know, at the end of the passage that I read from the Arcana, it ends by saying that the Lord bends everything evil into good. And this is the truth. That our lives, I bet if we look back on some of the most difficult experiences, hardest trials that we've faced in our lives, if we look back, I'm sure that now from a distance we can see how the Lord is able to bring good as a result of that. And that's not to say that it's good that those evil things happened to us, but that anything that we experience, good or bad, is able to help us grow and able to help us become better people. And that's true even with the people in our lives who we have had a difficult time with, the people who we take more of a negative mindset with. That even if on its simplest level, those people in our lives serve as an example for us to say, this is the kind of person I don't want to be, then that's still helping us move forward, helping us to grow our lives. And so this is what I think big takeaway is from this story, is that as our human nature might make us feel inclined to look towards the negative in other people, for whatever reason, whether they've wronged us or done bad things in the past, we might be inclined to create a judgment of people and let that inform every time we see them. That we see all of the bad things in them, and we have a hard time seeing the good. But I think if we are able to take a step back, take a higher perspective, then we can see how even those people in our lives and the experiences that we've had as a result of these things that other people have done to us, we can see how the Lord is able to use those experiences still to help us grow. And so that, to me, is what I think that we are called to do at a time like Thanksgiving. That it's not about just sticking to our circle, people and things in our lives that are easy to be grateful for. All of the things are obviously good, and all of the people who are obviously good and happy in our lives. We should take the time to be grateful for those people and thank them. But this year, I want to invite all of us to try to put in effort to expand beyond that. And think about some of the people in our lives who, for whatever reason, we have a hard time looking at with charity. Who we have a hard time looking at and seeing, here's the good sides of these people. And I would invite us all to challenge ourselves to think about a couple of those people and really try to come up with things that we admire about them, things that we can respect about them, or ways in which they and their influence have helped us grow as people. And like I said, even if all it is to say that they have been an example of someone that we don't want to be like. And I think that this Thanksgiving, if we can do that, then that will make a huge impact on the level of gratitude that we feel, because we won't just be thanking the Lord for all of the good things that we have and all of the easy things in our lives, but we can truly get to a place where we can start to feel gratitude for the Lord for everything in our lives, for the way that He is with us in every experience that we have, good and bad. And that's what I think Thanksgiving is really supposed to be about. So focus on that this Thanksgiving, on how we can expand our circle and be grateful for all of the people and all of the things that we experience in our lives. Amen.